Let's hear it. Peace and welcome to the culture here on the Black Star Network. I'm your host, Farajii Muhammad. Thank you so much for checking in and being a part of the conversation. Folks, it's election day. Yep. We are here. We're going to give you some conversation about what's happening in our national midterms. And you can tune in to me and stay tuned because Brother Roland is going to have it too as we have our Black Votes Matter live election coverage all night this evening. So you want to stick around to Black Star Network as we bring you the latest ins and outs, the in-depth conversations about the issues, the candidates, and so much more here on the Black Star Network. But here on the culture, folks, let's talk about what's happening. I'm going to give you an update on the Pelosi attack, what the House Speaker had to say in a CNN interview that she did with Anderson Cooper, how the attack on her husband made her feel made her feel personally, and how it affects her future in public service. We'll have that conversation. Also, can America be fixed? We know that folks are going to the polls today, but the ultimate question is, America is broken, but can it be fixed? A model that is often used to show the rest of the world that democracy works, but can America be fixed? We'll have that conversation and so much more. So stay with us. It's all happening on today's edition of The Culture right here on the Black Star Network. Let's go. All right, folks, welcome to the show. Welcome to the show. It is election day, folks, in America. Woo! We are finally here, folks. We are finally here at the point where we're going to the polls and mailing our ballots and doing all of the things that we need to do for our level of participatory democracy as we are looking at possibly turning a page, getting into another chapter of American history, especially political leadership. Now, this is the first midterm election that has happened since what we've seen over these past 2 years, which many people have described a falling apart or a breaking down of democracy. So today we wanted to have a number of conversations about that. And of course, we want to have it with you as we have these discussions about, can America be fixed and everything that we're seeing right now, especially after the January 6th insurrection attack on the Capitol. So there's a lot to try to process. And also, I want to get some updates from you. I want to hear from you. What's going on in your city, your county, your state, about where we are. Are people going to the polls? Are people excited? Do you think that Black folks are going to show up today? So we'll have those conversations. But first, let me just share with you just some latest updates around the Pelosi attack. We all know that last week, House Speaker Nancy Pelosi, really her husband, Paul Pelosi, was attacked in his San Francisco home while she was in Washington by a 42-year-old named David Papp, who is a far right winger, who went into the home and attacked Mr. Pelosi with a hammer while they were both standing in front of the police. It was a vicious and horrific attack where the 82-year-old Paul Pelosi had to go to the hospital and had to have some skull repair because of the attack. And it has left not just Nancy Pelosi, but elected officials shaking, wondering where we are, how far we've gone in this form of political violence. So today, I at least wanted to just bring you up to speed on where the House Speaker is and how she's handling all of this. She sat down yesterday for a candid conversation with Anderson Cooper of CNN and talked a little bit about how she is still shaken up. She does not know if this is going to serve as a catalyst for her to really think about retirement, even though she says that the health and well-being of her husband is certainly going to be a big part of her decision when that question was posed by Anderson Cooper. The other part of it is, and I want King, if you could post this quote from her, where she talked about, you know, what does this mean? Take a look at this, folks. In her interview, she said there was a parallel between the actions and beliefs of Mr. DePape and those of the thousands of people who participated in the January 6th attack on the Capitol last year, describing both as flames that were fueled by misinformation. She said, this is not a path that we can continue on. And we want people to run for office, local or in every way. And you can't say to them, you're risking the safety of your family by going forward. You're risking the safety of your family by simply running for office in a democracy. How should we take that? How should we take that? All right, I want to hear your thoughts on this. Obviously, this is a huge part. This attack was a big element of President Biden when he came out and gave his national address just a few days ago about preserving democracy. He talked about this, but this level of political violence, just days before the national midterm, that people are at this point, right? And so, you know, when we're seeing all that is happening, the brazen efforts, the attempts, the just very, very open. And look, I'm gonna be fully transparent, right? It's crazy because me and our wonderful engineer, my guy King Keenan, we were just talking on the phone about this, and he said something. I gotta say this, Keenan. I gotta let them know what you said to me, which I thought was absolutely true about where we are with things. He said it's not like they didn't already telegraph how they're going to move. Talking about right wingers, talking about Trumplicans, right? He says not like they didn't already telegraph it, because they talk about these things in their conservative spaces, whether you're talking about like a Reddit or 4chan, even Stephen Bannon, who has a conservative radio show. They talk about some level of political violence all the time. So and this is what Keenan said, and I said, Keenan, this is the segment we gotta figure out, and we're gonna certainly have a much deeper conversation. But I just wanted to throw this out there that, you know, we're at a point now where they're not just telegraphing it. And I think a lot of us are still in a state of shock. When we think about January 6th and see those images and see the videos and the footage and all, there's still like an element of shock that comes to it. And like, these cats really did run up on the Capitol. But more importantly, like that, we still didn't believe. We're still trying to reconcile within ourselves that these folks actually are willing to go this far to make a point. They're willing to harm or even kill political officials, right? And this is stuff you talk about in other countries. This is the stuff that we see happening in quote unquote third world countries that aren't stable, right? You know, when we're talking about the Middle East, so you're talking about parts of Africa, when you're talking about what's happening in Europe, you know, these are the things that you and I would see, right? But when it comes to America, not America, yes, we have disagreements. Yes, you know, the rhetoric can kind of get very can be very harsh and aggressive, and there's a lot of vitriol that's being spewed, all of those things. But then when you think about somebody running up in somebody's house, it's somebody's running up on a Capitol. It's like it really disrupts our sense of safety, and it disrupts this idea that America is immune to this level of resistance. That's the big part of this, folks. And I think that's the thing, that somebody is willing to take that step, to take that chance, right? And essentially say, forget all the norms, the social norms, the political norms, all of that stuff is out the window. At this point, we're going to roll how we want to roll. And I think that's one of the biggest challenges, and I shared this with Keenan earlier. I think that's one of the biggest challenges. You know, we're so used to the government being able to fix things, or quote unquote, we can at least have this hope and this expectation that when certain things have come into these borders, right, of the United States of America, that the government can handle it. But what happens when the government can't handle a revolution from the inside? What happens? We haven't really seen that and I'm talking about, I mean, we could talk about the civil rights, Civil War, but the Civil War happened years ago. I mean, it's over 50 plus years, 100 years ago, right? 100 something years ago. So you have we haven't seen this before. So it just goes to show us that we're really kind of in uncharted territory, right? We can use history, try to glean the lessons from from history to see the best way we can move forward. But we are really in uncharted lands, especially in a time where information is the new currency. Information becomes the new gold standard, right? Like if you have good information, you're putting out good information. It's like you putting out gold nuggets. When you have bad information, misinformation, just lies, right? Then you're putting out coal. You're not putting out no diamonds. You're putting out coal. And now if we dig deep enough, we might be able to find the diamond. But right now, you're just putting out coal. So we're in that time. And I think that it's for a lot of people, and I share this with Keenan, as much as the president, and I think the president did the right move because he's talking about a larger system. When we talk about preserving democracy, I don't know if y'all remember, but remember I shared with you, this is not even like a top voter concern. You know, preserving democracy is not a top voter concern. You know what's a top voter concern? Is stuff like the economy and inflation. Top voter concern is quality of life issues, right? Crime, of course, right? So these aren't really top voter concerns. So preserving democracy. So we're in a place that's really different, a culture that's really different. So the president, I think, did the right move in speaking about the importance of preserving democracy, just because it's the system that he represents, for one. But then the other part of it is, this is the system that we are all familiar with. We know, you know what I mean? For most part, we are willing to, quote unquote, engage in this system. There aren't any alternative. There aren't any alternatives yet. There are, how can I say? There are groups that are bubbling, you know what I mean, under the radar, that are trying to get new thought into new thoughts and new ideas into the system, but they still haven't. Those ideas hasn't fully taken root to the mainstream, to the mass appeal of constituents and of citizens in this country yet. So when we look at Nancy Pelosi's situation and how far somebody would go, and the House Speaker talked about this, you know, getting back to that point she made, like, you're going to have to talk to people who are running for office and say, you may be putting your family at risk if somebody doesn't like your policies, if somebody doesn't like your stance. And that's a hard pill to swallow. Nicole, I'm going to get you. Let's kick it off with you, sis. Thank you for checking in. You say the fact that people, elected political officials, and those running for political office were making jokes about an 82-year-old man being beaten with a hammer and having his skull fractured is evil. Absolutely. I mean, that man didn't do anything to deserve that. See, I try to understand things from not just from who the person is, just from a human level, right? People are, I mean, that man wanted to damn near kill that man. You know, he wanted to. And they charged, one of the federal charges against David Papp is that he's going to be federally charged for harming a spouse or a family member of an elected official. The other thing is attempted kidnapping. He was trying to kidnap Nancy Pelosi. He was trying to do some real harm to her. Like, this is not something that we are used to. We see it in other countries, McCole, you know, and I know it. We see it in other spaces, but this is not something that we're used to. This is a different ball game for America. When you start running up in people's homes, when you start, now we've had assassination attempts, obviously, right? Assassinations and assassination attempts, and whether you're talking about Reagan, whether you're talking about Kennedy, but this is a whole different level. Imagine having state officials and your local officials being attacked like this because somebody didn't like the policy. And one of the things about democracy, you got to give space for people to share their grievance, or else they're going to resort to violence because they feel like they're not being heard, they're not being seen, they're not being taken seriously. So in any governance, in any government system, there has to be space for people to express themselves, to share their grievance. Any government, you got to give people space to do that. That's why the right to protest is such an important and fundamental right, because you got to give people the space to say, no, I'm not going to be accepting this, or whatever the case may be, even with the right to freedom of speech, right? Another way to give people an outlet by which they can share their thoughts. Good point, Nicole. Thank you for bringing that up. Tosh, good of fools. Tosh, God of fools. Let me make sure. Tosh, I like that name. That's kind of interesting, Tosh. You said, what has the government ever fixed? Never conversation, Tosh. I'm going to get to that. I'm going to get to that. I'm going to get to that. Good point, but I'm going to get to that. Thank you for checking in. Rochelle Kithcart. Rochelle, sounds like you are a new watcher. I appreciate you. You say, how is all this stuff happening with voting at polling places, reminiscent of Jim Crow days and not just in the South? Right. Right. That's another form of political violence. Right. Disenfranchisement, suppression. These are another forms of political violence. This is warfare. I can't stress this point enough to all of us, to myself included, that when we're looking at talking about participatory politics, like the one that we have, this is a form of warfare. This is a form of warfare. Democrats engage in it. Republicans engage in it. Trumpublicans engage in it. Got people from the Lincoln Project. Like, you got all these progressives and conservatives. Everybody, this is warfare. This is about power. This is about influence. This is about resources. This is warfare. And if Black folks, for us to understand that, to get it into our minds that we got to have strategies and tactics, just like in war. We got to know which tools, which artillery to use in various situations, just like in war. We got to understand how many troops are in that we have, just like in war. We got to figure out what the layout of the land is, the landscape. What is the landscape, the cultural landscape, the political landscape, just like in war. These things are important for us to keep in mind. Rochelle, thank you so much. Good point. Jawan, my sister, you said, look, I never thought I'd see a day that being in office and doing the right thing would put a target on you and your family's back. It's so sad, isn't it? It's so sad. It's so sad. And guess what? The right thing to you may be the wrong thing to someone else. That's the hard part, Jawan, that the right thing to you may be the wrong thing for somebody else. And you got to figure that out. You got to figure that out. And your family becomes like collateral damage, right? Collateral damage. Lana, check in. You said, thank you, Jawan. Always good to hear from you. I appreciate you retweeting my tweets as well. Thank you. Lana, you say, come on, Farajii. Democracy is defined by those who create and uphold the system. The system is this way because the system created this. Y'all been outside? I would advise you to protect yourself. Yeah, very, very important. Let's talk about this in a quick moment. The system created this, and I think that is one of the big things, Lana, to your point, and I'm glad you brought it up. That is one of the things that I think that we need to kind of keep in mind. The system does create this. The system creates a certain level of have and have nots. The system creates a situation where a person feel like they could be heard and seen, where another group of people may not feel the same way. The system creates some level of division, right? The system dehumanizes some and humanizes others, right? So if the system is doing all of these things, then it's apparent that we need a new system. It's apparent. Not new people to work in the system, but we need a new system. Y'all follow me on this? Okay. Lana, always appreciate you, sis. Always appreciate you. Shalinda, my sis, you said, look, the fact that we know who they are and how they network, why do some of our own people continue to spread the misinformation and bullshit? The main ones calling themselves woke be the ones with the bull. I don't know, Shalinda. I have no idea why that is the case. That is the case. I have no idea. I have no idea why we still think that we can get something from some of these groups of folks, right? And I get it, because I think we're all like, especially black folks in this country, I feel like we're just at our wits' end at this point. We're just like, I don't know. You know what I mean? We're at our wits' end. And I think from a political and from a political space, it's like that may be good for us, because now we're forced and kind of compelled to think outside the box, forced and compelled to think of some new of a new and different alternative. But I think we're at a wit's end with a lot of this. You know what I'm saying? Wit's end. All right, Nameless Collector, you checked in, and that's going to be, and we're going to take your comment, and then we're going to move on to the next conversation. But Nameless Collector, you said, but like in war, we need our own supplies and equipment. Facts. Facts. Warfare. Politics is warfare. Politics is about gaining power. Politics is about having, getting resources for your interests as much as you can. Politics is warfare. And you're right. So, Nameless Collector, we would need to figure out, well, what are the supplies and what are the equipment? What are the things that we need, right? What are those things? And so that's the part about it. That's the big part about it, to determine that. But if we don't get into our minds, if we just think, I'm just doing this, not understanding the implications of a situation, not understanding the weight of what we're doing, the significance of what we're doing, then we're going to continue to find ourselves getting the short end of the stick. But if we start to strategize and open our eyes to understanding that politics is warfare, that our interests should not be held, that our interest is not just a moral interest, but these are real life interests. These are quality of life interests. These are interests that will literally save our lives. And we go and take that approach. Not asking you for no Pyrrhic victory. We need real victories, right? We're not asking for a moral victory. I need a tangible victory. I need to know, like, damn, I'm getting, some red tape is being cut for me to start a business. Some red tape is going to be cut for me to change the stigma after I come out of prison, that my children are going to get educational, opportunities, right? We need real victories. We don't need no more moral victories, symbolic victories. I need tangible victories. So to your point, Nameless Collector, that's the place that I think that and we need to figure out, well, what are the supplies, what are the equipments, and more importantly, here's the big one, Nameless Collector. Here's the big one. Who are the soldiers? Who are the soldiers who are ready, willing, and able to wage war? That's the big question. All right, look, while we marinate on that question, we're going to take a quick pause. When we come forward, let me check in with Culture Crew member Iman Heath. Let's talk about how come America seems to be a model for all the other countries around the world as this beacon of light and democracy. And now it looks like people are asking the question from around the world, yo, America, y'all all right? Can America be fixed after what we are experiencing? Can we be fixed? That's the big question, big conversation coming up next. And I got a whole lot more for you. So stay with us. We're just getting started right here on The Culture, only on the Black Star Network. Vote, vote, vote. We'll be right back.
hatred on the streets. A horrific scene, a white nationalist rally that descended into deadly violence.
White people are losing their damn minds.
There's an angry pro-Trump mob storms the U.S. Capitol.
We're about to see the rise of what I call white minority resistance. We have seen white folks in this country who simply cannot tolerate black folks voting.
I think what we're seeing is the inevitable result of violent denial.
This is part of American history. Every time that people of color have made progress, whether real or symbolic, there has been what Carol Anderson at Emory University calls white rage as a backlash.
This is the rise of the Proud Boys and the Boogaloo Boys. America, there's going to be more of this.
Here's all the Proud Boys, guys.
This country is getting increasingly racist in its behaviors and its attitudes because of the fear of white people.
The fear that they're taking our jobs, they're taking our resources, they're taking our women. This is white fear.
When we invest in ourselves, we all shine. Together, we are black beyond measure.
When you talk about blackness and what happens in black culture, we're about covering these things that matter to us, speaking to our issues and concerns.
This is a genuine people-powered movement.
There's a lot of stuff that we're not getting. You get it, and you spread the word.
We wish to plead our own cause. Too long have others spoken for us. We cannot tell our own story if we can't pay for it. This is about covering us. Invest in black-owned media. Your dollars matter. We don't have to keep asking them to cover our stuff. So please support us in what we do, folks. We want to hit 2,000 people, $50 this month, raise $100,000. We're behind 100,000, so we want to hit that. Y'all money makes this possible. Check some money orders. Go to P.O. Box 57196, Washington, D.C. 20037-0196. The Cash App is $RM Unfiltered. PayPal is R Martin Unfiltered. Venmo is RM Unfiltered. Zelle is Roland@RolandSMartin.com.
We've got to stand up. Republicans are banning abortion rights, tearing down democracy, blocking progress. But when Democrats stand together, we win. Because we voted, Democrats stood up for black lives, voting to ban police chokeholds, stood up for black women, putting one on the Supreme Court, stood up for our families, lowering cost of health care and prescriptions and capping insulin, and stood up for millions by slashing student debt. This November, let's stand up together and keep making progress.
I am Letitia Hill Gadet, owner of Ottendorf Laboratories. In America, our freedom of speech and the right to peacefully protest is a wonderful thing, but faith without works is dead. Will you take souls to the polls? If you don't vote, all of your activities were done in vain. I am an ordained minister, a presiding elder in the AME Zion Church, a wife, a mother. I am spending my time and my resources to encourage you to vote.
Paid for by Ottendorf Laboratories.
Know your rights before you vote. If you have any questions or a problem voting, call or text 1-866-OUR-VOTE. For more information, call or text 1-866-OUR-VOTE.
Pull up a chair, take your seat. The Black Tape with me, Dr. Greg Carr, here on the Black Star Network. Every week, we'll take a deeper dive into the world we're living in. Join the conversation only on the Black Star Network.
Don't you think it's time to get wealthy? I'm Deborah Owens, America's Wealth Coach, and my new show on the Black Star Network focuses on the things your financial advisor or bank isn't telling you. So watch Get Wealthy on the Black Star Network.
Hi, Hi, I'm Dr. Jackie Hood Martin, and I have a question for you. Ever feel as if your life is teetering and the weight and pressure of the world is consistently on your shoulders? Well, let me tell you, living a balanced life isn't easy. Join me each Tuesday on Black Star Network for a Balanced Life with Dr. Jackie. We'll laugh together, cry together, pull ourselves together, and cheer each other on. So join me for new shows each Tuesday on Black Star Network, A Balanced Life with Dr. Jackie.
All right, folks, welcome back to the show. Midterm election is upon us, folks, and a lot of conversations are happening all across America. First, the big conversation, did you vote? Yep, that's the question. Did you vote? Folks, I can't emphasize it enough that I want you to stay tuned to Black Star Network, because starting with the show, The Culture, all throughout the evening, folks, we're going to have a number of conversations and our Black Lives Matter election coverage that's going to be kicking off at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We want you to tune in, be a part of the conversation. Take a look there, folks. It is election night in America, a major and historic and unprecedented midterm election that we are involved in. And so tonight, if you want to hear commentary, if you want to hear discussions that are the realest and the blackest, tune into the Black Lives Matter Election Night 2022 coverage that we're having here only on the Black Star Network. And yours truly will be joining a host of panels like Brother Michael Imhotep and a number of other thought leaders and other folks that are community activists, political strategists, and a number of other people to have these discussions with tonight. So 7 p.m. through 1 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. All right, folks, let's jump into this other discussion. I mean, we're talking about going to the polls. We're talking about what's at stake here. And, we talked a little bit about Nancy Pelosi. So if you missed that part of the conversation, make sure y'all check out the replay. And, but I got to talk about, how does America look to the rest of the world? And I want to have my culture crew member. She's an activist. She's an entrepreneur. Iman, he's joining me in the conversation along with you folks. So post your comments on this as we discuss this. But I'm wondering, and there she is, Iman. There is looking bright and bright.
Mm-hmm. Yes, it's really bright.
Got your election day gear on. I see.
It's a little bit outside over here. It's a little cold.
How about
everybody in Maryland, everybody in Baltimore, if you don't feel like you have a reason to vote, I'm gonna ask you this. Do you want to have weed legal in Maryland? If your answer is yes, that's your reason to get up and go vote. And while you're there, vote for Westmore for governor. That's what I gotta say. Vote.
Oh, that's what it is. That's what it is. You just came out here, cannabis and Westmore. That's what it is. That's what Maryland.
I'm just trying to be people with
Westmore. That's going to push Maryland forward, folks.
my generation, we gotta find common.
You gotta talk to the people. I get
it. Yeah. So
Westmore has been, of course, he's been endorsed by President Biden. He had a big event last night. I think it was last night in Bowie State. And
maybe, but he had Barack Obama also in his commercial. Everybody loves Barack, so that's another reason to go ahead and get up and vote. That's another reason there. He loves Barack just like the rest of us, so go vote.
Oh man, please! They had to bring out the pinch hitter.
You know what I saw the commercial. I said, "Oh, he know what he doing. He know what he doing."
Barack, hey, look, the way the former president is moving, you would think he running for office.
No,
he probably like, hey, look, Iman, I can only imagine the conversation that the DNC or President Biden had with Barack. He probably was sitting on the beach somewhere, him and Michelle chilling, and everybody called him. He was like, who is it, Barack? And he's like, he just look at the phone like, it's Joe.
With his cool self.
It's Joe.
Michelle said,
what's going on, Joe? And Joe, Mr. President, can you get on a campaign trail?
Listen, Joe probably still call him Mr. President. I believe.
You know it. You know it.
No,
no doubt. No doubt. No doubt. He probably say a lot of things to him, like, you know what? I wish I never had this job.
You made it look good. You made it look real good. This ain't it.
Oh man. But no, I hear you. I definitely appreciate you putting out that message. Like, you gotta find, there are enough reasons right now, Iman, where it really, and I know people use the history. Yesterday I shared with folks that may not be enough, right? That doesn't necessarily drive people. You gotta speak to people's interests, right? And I think that is the big part of the conversation when you're talking about getting people to come out and vote. Like, you start with the interest. I forgot who mentioned it yesterday. It was like, Farajii, how do you get a group of people to come on out? If they feel like their votes won't matter, their votes won't count, you start with people's interests. You start with where they are. Exactly. And you just take it from there, Like, even though the student loan situation, big, I mean, that's huge, right? Even though it wasn't 50,000, but 10 to 20,000, that's a good chunk. That's a decent amount to get the ball rolling. But that may not be your thing.
Right, exactly. And some people may not have even seen college, have a thought of going to college, especially those in poverty. That's not a thought. They graduate high school and try to find a job to help pay bills in the house. So you just got to find an interest and connect them to the politicians. That's right.
Now, here's the thing. And folks, I want y'all to join us in the chat. On Facebook, on YouTube, as we have this conversation, checking in with Iman. So let's talk a little bit about the state of democracy. And because I came across this piece in the New York Times where they was looking at America as our global standing with the rest of the world, right? And one of the things that it pointed out, Iman, which I thought was interesting, that some time ago, America used to be the beacon of light, a beacon of hope for the rest of the world, right? We were a major superpower. We have always promoted this idea of democracy, even though in other governments across the globe, they've done from everything from aristocracy to socialism to all different forms of government. But America has always been on this tip of, hey, this actually works. So a lot of countries started to implement democratic elements into their governance, right? People are coming out to the polls and all of those things. Now, over these past couple of years and up to this present moment, people are asking, well, America, why do you seem to be going off track? Why do you seem to, the very system that you have said is the saving grace of the rest of the world, doesn't seem to be working for you, considering what's been happening with January 6th and election deniers and all of those things. What's your take on that? Like, do you think America can be fixed from all that has happened over these past couple of years?
It can be, but it's going to take one hell of a journey to get to that turnaround. America has to start with trust, truth, and transparency. And they are all under the same.
Mom, you're kicking on. Wait a minute, hold on. You're kicking on with the 3 teams? Wait a minute, hold on. Wait a minute, she got 3 teams?
Yes. We got it.
Hold on. I love it. Trust, truth, and transparency.
And they're all under the same umbrella. So they're all needed to be able to fix America or turn America around. It's like when you talk to a person who you see they have this bad behavior, bad habit. Hey, bro, you might need to go to therapy. Or, hey, you need to go to rehab. Or, hey, you need to go get help, blah, blah, blah. It's not going to be until they see that they need help, they're going to seek help. It's been so many instances. We can start with the 2000 election with George Bush. How close the voting had to be recounted in Florida. That could cause us to not trust this entire system. Even when Hillary Clinton and Donald Trump 2016, when Hillary won the popular vote, mind you, she got nearly more than 2.9 million votes from us, the people. We all know how that goes. The Electoral College, he took that even though we didn't vote for him. It's been an issue with him having these top secret documents in his home that we had no idea about. Why do you have them? This whole issue with vaccines, and now companies are recanting their statement, saying that, well, we weren't too sure that they would work. People being fired for not taking the vaccine now have to be rehired, and they have to be reimbursed with back pay. Like, it's a list of things that will push politics and onto people to, I guess, you cared about our safety, but it doesn't seem that way now. Last year, get the vaccine, get the vaccine, get the vaccine. We've had people who have fallen to depression because they didn't want to get the vaccine, but had to keep their job to feed their family. And I know they're now thinking, damn, well, y'all rehiring everybody that didn't get the vaccine. So it really wasn't a mandate. It really wasn't a requirement, but you made me think and feel that way. It's a lot of mess with America, Farajii. It's I would say at least the past 20 years. I would just say 20. I can understand why it looked like, what the hell is going on with y'all over there? If you help the people and you get the people back in line, then I feel as though it'll fall forward with leadership. But somebody got to get the ball rolling.
Hey, look, first and foremost, I cannot disagree with one word of that analysis that you just made. I could not disagree. And I want to go back to that original point you made, which is trust, truth, and transparency. Let me tell you something. That is pivotal, absolutely pivotal. And I think that, based upon where we are, I think a lot of us, we're so, sometimes you can get so involved in a situation that you just need a moment. You need like a big moment in that relationship to kind of wake you up, a reality check, right? And this is the reality check. We're in the midst of a reality check in this country, right? Like when we're looking at this country, we're seeing not the America that has been promoted as across the globe as being this global leader. I mean, yes, we in some cases, but America looks like a country that has been able to keep all of its skeletons in the closet and still be able to operate as a quote unquote a major superpower in global affairs, right? And so this is now coming out like the glass house has cracks in it. The glass house has cracks in it, which is why I said in my first segment, Iman, that it is imperative that President Biden say at least something about quote unquote preserving democracy, because that's the currency that we have been operating on, or using rather, in our relationship with other countries around the globe. That our form of government, even though it's a new form and based on other forms of government, that this form of government works, that the American experiment works. But the reality is, we're seeing something in just over 200 years. We're already seeing some level of resistance in every element of our government, whether you're talking about judicial, whether you're talking about legislative, whether you're talking about executive. People have fundamental issues with how America functions. And that's the part I want to share with folks, and then we're going to go to the online culture crew. Let me just share with you what the New York Times said about this as one scholar looked at this situation. Take a look at this, folks. And King Keenan, let's put this quote up on there, because this is important. Why the world's democracies ask, why can't America fix itself? Well, I can answer that. Now, I think, Iman, you did an excellent job in pointing out some of those things. But here's what it says. It said, for the most of the world, the U.S. midterms are little more than a blip, but they are another data point on what some see as a trend line of trouble, especially in countries that have found ways to strengthen their democratic processes. Interviews with scholars, officials, and voters revealed alarm that the United States seems to be doing the opposite and sliding away from its core ideals. Several critics of America's direction cited the January 6th riots, a violent rejection of democracy's insistence on the peaceful transfer of power. Others expressed concern about states erecting barriers to voting after the record turnout that resulted from widespread early and absentee voting during the pandemic. A few said they worried that the Supreme Court was falling prey to party politics, like judiciaries in nations struggling to establish independent courts. Let's go on. Take a look. Listen to what this gentleman says, a sociology professor. He said the United States did not get into the position where it is now overnight. This is from Helmut Anhier, who is a sociology professor at the Hertie School in Berlin and a principal investigator for the Berggruen Governance Index, a study of 134 countries in which America sits below Poland in quality of life, as defined by access to public services such as health care and education. It took a while to get there, and it will take a while to get out. To your point, he made the same point. It's going to take some work. But in terms of the quality of life, our country ranks low under Poland. Now, this is an outside situation. This is not somebody that's affiliated with the Democrats or the Republicans. They're just taking an outside view. They're looking at various metrics to determine what quality of life, to essentially determine what is the health of America's democracy. And if we are ranking in the low numbers, in the lower percentiles of quality of life, a country that is technologically advanced, we got all these millionaires, we got all these billionaires, we got all these things that are working for a country, a civilized country, a country that has been a superpower on the global stage for years, for decades, right? But we still can't get it together. And other countries are advancing. That's the crazy part, Iman. They are moving forward while America is sliding back. Whew.
Farajii, the Voting Rights Act was penciled in 1965. It's 2022, and we're still dealing with voter suppression. Why is that still an issue? Why is it still a concern? But as you said, the glass house cracks. It's as if America wants to keep this facade or face that everything's okay, everything's fine, everything's okay. But on the inside, down to the nitty gritty, it's not okay at all. And it's instead of, as I said, go back to what I was saying, if we can stick to the truth, hey, our shit a little messed up over here. So let's get this together. To say we are under Poland, I'm not surprised. You know how high healthcare is? Do you know how far behind we are with our educational system? Not speaking about just high school. It's we have to be honest. America has to be honest with what's going on. Not just us who are at the bottom of the totem pole who actually have to deal with the bullshit. It's like, hey, y'all up there, the 1%ers, the higher ups, come down here and see what's going on down here so you can get a feel of why everyone else, even outside of America, is looking at us like, what the hell is going on over there? But you have to face the reality. Get to the truth.
It's a sad reality where it be getting a little feedback on my end. Here's what we're going to do. Before we get further in the conversation, let's take a quick pause. When we come back, we'll continue the conversation and get some comments from our online culture crew. Stay with us. It's The Culture here on the Black Star Network. I'm sure what to type.
Don't you think it's time to get wealthy? I'm Deborah Owens, America's Wealth Coach, and my new show on the Black Star Network focuses on the things your financial advisor or bank isn't telling you. So watch Get Wealthy on the Black Star Network.
Pull up a chair, take your seat. The Black Tape with me, Dr. Greg Carr, here on the Black Star Network. Every week, we'll take a deeper dive into the world we're living in. Join the conversation only on the Black Star Network.
Hi, I'm Dr. Jackie Hood Martin, and I have a question for you. Ever feel as if your life is teetering and the weight and pressure of the world is consistently on your shoulders? Well, let me tell you, living a balanced life isn't easy. Join me each Tuesday on Black Star Network for A Balanced Life with Dr. Jackie. We'll laugh together, cry together, pull ourselves together, and cheer each other on. So join me for new shows each Tuesday on Black Star Network, A Balanced Life with Dr. Jackie.
It's time to be smart.
Roland Martin's doing this every day.
Oh, no punches!
Thank you, Roland Martin, for always giving voice to the issues.
Look for Roland Martin in the whirlwind, to quote Marcus Garvey again.
The video looks phenomenal, so I'm really excited to see it on my big screen.
Support this man, Black Media. He makes sure that our stories are told.
See, there's a difference between Black Star Network and Black-owned media and something like CNN.
I got to defer to the brilliance of Dr. Carr and to the brilliance of the Black Star Network.
I am rolling with Roland all the way.
Honored to be on a show that you own. A black man owns the show.
Folks, Black Star Network is here.
I'm real revolutionary right now. Roland was amazing on there.
Hey, Black, I love y'all.
I can't commend you enough about this platform that you've created for us to be able to share who we are, what we're doing in the world, and the impact that we're having.
Let's be smart. Bring your eyeballs home.
You can't be Black-owned media and be scared. You dig?
We've got to stand up. Republicans are banning abortion rights, tearing down democracy, blocking progress. But when Democrats stand together, we win. Because we voted, Democrats stood up for Black lives, voting to ban police chokeholds, stood up for Black women, putting one on the Supreme Court, stood up for our families, lowering cost of health care and prescriptions and capping insulin, and stood up for millions by slashing student debt. This November, let's stand up together and keep making progress.
It's time to know your rights. If someone is questioning your right to vote, call or text 1-866-OUR-VOTE. For more information, call or text 1-866-OUR-VOTE. Exercise your right to vote. If the lines are long or you're getting turned away, call or text 1-866-OUR-VOTE. For more information, call or text 1-866-OUR-VOTE.
All right, folks, welcome back to The Culture here on the Black Star Network. I'm your host, Farajii Muhammad. Thank you so much for tuning in. It is election day here in America, and on Black Star Network, we just been talking about everything regarding to the Pelosi attack, to the state of the democracy, and asking a big question during election day: can America be fixed, even though people are going to the polls? Yes, folks, big question, because there's so much at stake in this year's midterm election. And the stakes are so high, the issues are too deep. And guess what? We're all seeking change at this point. So, we will see how the polls will turn out. Polls are certainly still open right now. If you haven't had a chance to go out to cast your vote, to mail your ballot, anything to show that you are serious about at least having your voice heard, having your vote count, and having your presence matter, make sure you do that today as soon as you can before the polls close in your local area. Now, here's the other thing, folks. We want you to stay tuned, because starting with this show and all throughout the rest of the evening, we're going to be doing live coverage as we host our Black Lives Matter election night coverage, kicking off at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. As of course, hosted by Brother Roland Martin himself. He's going to have a diverse August panel of thinkers, commentators, strategists. Yours truly will be on the panel tonight for a little bit as we talk about the state of democracy and so much more. So join us for that conversation. Tune in to blackstarnetwork.com to take a look at that conversation, and let your friends and family know that you can tune into other stations to get their analysis. But why not tune into your own, where you can get the realest and the blackest commentary ever? Make sure y'all definitely tune in. Also, make sure you follow us on social media at Black Star Network on IG and on Twitter. And follow yours truly, Farajii Muhammad. I'm on IG at The Real Farajii, as well as Farajii on Twitter and Farajii Muhammad on Facebook. Now, I want to jump back into the conversation we're having here with Culture Crew member Iman Heath, who is an activist and an entrepreneur, as we talk about, can America fix itself? When we look at where our standing is in terms of quality of life, a lot of people say, yes, America's at the top, quote unquote, when you're talking about the places that we want to see and people wanting to come here. But there are countries around the world that's looking and saying, America, can y'all really handle all of the big challenges that are facing you right now? Can America be fixed? Iman, you brought up some valid points, and I think that we're in this time at this point. And I posted this. This is what I tweeted earlier today. I said it yesterday, and I'm going to double down on it. When the government falls apart, that's when the people should come together. When the government falls apart, we are seeing a breaking down. We are really seeing this, folks. And even though this is unfathomable, right, Iman? Like, we never thought that in our lifetime that we would see America being in the position that she's in today, where she's very vulnerable. The systems of America are very vulnerable. That's why the president had to shore up our hope and expectation, because guess what? Here's the thing about the American system. The American system is really built on hopes, dreams, and expectations, right? And the three things that you stated at the beginning of your analysis, which is something that I think we put into, this is part of that same group, trust, truth, and transparency. That's what we expect from our relationship with our government. But the reality is we don't get that. And so that opens the door for insurrection. That opens the door for militias. That opens the door for people to get angry and to try to run up into people's homes and, kidnap them and do their family members harm. I mean, that opens the door. And I think that's the part that we're going to have to really reconcile with. What's your take with that, Iman?
Farajii, no, I didn't think I would see the fall of America's government in my lifetime, but we have to start somewhere. Like you were saying in the first segment, we gotta see it fall in order to rebuild it. We have to rebuild the system. It's not get new people, but rebuild the system and how it is ran. As we can see, as decades have gone on, it only benefits a certain class of people. And when the poor, impoverished, they are fed up and tired, this is what happens. So to be honest, I won't say that I'm happy it's going this way, but I am happy we're about to get to ground zero and have to work our way back up as far as America and American government. To be able to see it and witness it, and you say, who are the soldiers? I'll definitely raise my hand. I'd have no problem being one of the soldiers to get this ball rolling, but it's not a bad place to start from ground zero. The fact that we're now at this spot is not a bad. We have to start somewhere.
I think so. And I'm glad. And here's the thing, the reality is this, because we also, you and I, Iman, because I personally know you, like, you're also in those spaces of Pan-Africanists and nationalists and black, where we have historical black thought conversations, right? And so for you as a young Black woman to say, look, I will be one of the troops to try to save this country, right? And I think that we have to really analyze this, because it's easy for us to say, let it burn. That's easy. The hard part is we need to change it. And I've said this before, and I must keep saying this. I think the greatest patriots of this country are those who point out its wrongs.
Right.
Those are the greatest patriots. Right. If you didn't love a country, it's like you being in a relationship with somebody. If you didn't love that person, right, you wouldn't be willing to go through the process of pointing out their wrongs, trying to help them to understand where they violated and all of that. You wouldn't have it, because you were like, you know what, I could just leave. But that's a patriot. A patriot says, you know what, there's potential with this. There's some good things that are happening in this country, and there are some not so good things that are happening in this country. And I'm going to try to help the country, help this situation by adding to it and not taking away from it. And I think that is pivotal. I think that's very, very pivotal, especially in this day and time, that we have to be clear about where we stand. All right, let me go to some of the comments from our online culture crew. Folks, post your comments. We'll try to get to as many as possible. Ming Lee, Natasha Surge. Ming Lee, woo! You said nope. And Maj, they like, nope. America can't be fixed at this point in time.
Not today, no. Not next week, nor next month, no. Right. It is going to take some time, but I think it can be fixed. It's going to take time.
All right, here's another question, because this is a little bit, can America be fixed might just only appeal to a certain part of your thinking, right? And this is not for you just in general by yourself. Do we want to fix America? And I'm saying that to Black folks. I'm saying that to Black folks. Y'all can take a minute. We can marinate on it.
I remember the episode we had when Lisa was with us, and you guys, and I was saying how I'm not a patriot. I hate this country, blah, 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 blah. I'm not a patriot.
I remember that so vividly.
Yes. And then after analyzing and really understanding, you know what, damn, I am a patriot. When you ask yourself that question, think about it in a sense where it's not that you're rooting for the way America is now. You're not rooting for America to continue to oppress us. Think of it as a new America. Our blood, sweat, and tears has done way too much in this country for us to feel like, let's just let the shit burn. Then on top of that, where are most of us going? Most of us don't have our passport. And number two, where are we going? This is our origin. This is home. Yes, we can go. Africa is where we originated from. Blah 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 blah. Cool, but if America burns to the ground, where are you going? You can't just get a boat in Florida and then go find an island. It doesn't work that way. So when you ask yourself that question that Farajii posed, and ask yourself, are you willing to be a soldier? Don't think of it as we're going to be submissive to America's way of treating us. No. We first need to be a mirror to help America see and understand you want some bullshit and we're not tolerating it anymore. And then we get into the solution, but we have to be the mirror first. That's the first step. But ask yourself that first.
Okay. And you know what? I think that's an excellent idea, because once we can confront our own selves, then the process to be redeemed starts.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Like once you realize that, you know what, I'm not the person that I thought I was. Because sometimes, and you know, I think we all are kind of victims of this. Sometimes we tend to look at ourselves much more than the world sees us or the people around us see us. It's like if you're going out, if you're dating somebody and you're like, I'm a catch. But
then when you sit down and really evaluate yourself and what you bring to the table or don't bring to the table, oh damn, wait a minute. Tighten up.
Like, my relationships are all kind of up in the air. I don't have a stable job. You know what I mean? My houses ain't up to par.
That's a big part too.
You know what I'm saying? Like, that's how I feel like that's what's happening with our country right now. Like, we were like, America be like, I'm a catch. And you're like, maybe if you do some self-healing, some self-work first.
we have to give America
right, like this some self.
It's a relationship. We have to look at America as a person. Like it's have a relationship with this country. We contribute to this relationship. We are involved in this relationship every damn day. We can't get out the relationship, no matter how bad we try. You can burn your social security card and your birth certificate, and guess what? You still will be a citizen of the United States of America. So, of course, loopholes around it. But we gotta start somewhere. And people, we have to be the soldiers. And of course, I see one of our online members said we need to fix this country. I'm not leaving. I'm right behind you, sis. No, we're not leaving. I'm still stuck on the fact that I watched that documentary and it said that African Americans, we were the ones who invented macaroni and cheese. That's a Thanksgiving staple, and Chick-fil-A sell macaroni and cheese too. That's America's fast food restaurant, not McDonald's anymore. So even something as little as that, like Black people, we don't have to be proud of this country. Of course, we wouldn't be proud of this country from what is done to us, but we can make it better. But we have to be willing to be uncomfortable. We have to be willing to risk certain things in order to obtain what we want or what we need, especially just basic human rights. Being Black is a job. Being Black is risky. So I gotta put my ethnic self that I can't change and not just get the regular human rights like everybody else. But somebody gotta be the soldier.
Hey, and you know what? I mean, you're making an excellent point on that, Iman, because as much as we take the heat, right, we're always the first one to show up, the last one to leave when it comes to the defense of his country. Now it's changing. The sentiment is certainly changing in America, right? Black folks I think we are loyal to a fault to this system of things in this country, right? And I understand because it's created like this psychology within us where we love it and hate it at the same time. You know what I mean? And that does a lot to a person. Just if you everybody, y'all, just really think with me on this one. Think about how there are certain things that you love about this country. Because even when people tell me I hate America, I'm like, well, if you move to someplace else, right? And I know some of our culture crew members live in other places. King, I'm thinking of you, brother. You know, some people have definitely moved to other places, right? But there's still something about this place that we're in called America, right? And you know, you could have a love-hate relationship. I have a love-hate relationship with this country, you know, but I think it gets down to having a healthy view of what this country has done to you, a healthy and a truthful understanding of that, and then a healthy view of what you're putting out, right? Because I know that as much as this country has done to Black folks, as much as this country has destroyed us in so many different ways, right? Or attempted to destroy us, because we're not out of the picture yet. So I'm gonna just say attempted to destroy us in so many different ways. There is great potential for this country to be much better. And I'm not talking about just some lukewarm way. I'm talking about on a fundamental level, Iman, where we're like, you know what? We don't have to be this way. This is a choice. This is a choice. The way that America is today, and this is why we got to ask ourselves, can we fix it? The way America is today is a choice. It's a choice by citizens to be this way. It's a choice.
Very true.
If we understand that people are making choices every day, B, you know what I'm saying? around how they want to operate, how they want to express themselves, how they think this country should go. That's a choice.
I want us to
we got to make some different choices at this point, or else we're all going to suffer. Like I'm literally looking at the situation, right? This election today is going to force everybody to say, to look at America and be like, if y'all want to go down path A or path B on the situation, it's coming down to that. And that's why it's important for us to even have a discussion about our personal politics, because you can't just sit on the sidelines today, because America is going in a very, very uncertain path right now. It's going into a disruptive path. It's falling. It's falling. And if we want to be a part of not stopping the fall, because I think some of it needs to fall. I think some of it needs to crash to the ground.
Absolutely.
Right? But any demolition of buildings or homes or anything like that, the building isn't the only thing that's affected. The people around it, the people who are watching the demolition, could be hit with the debris of the demolition. The dust, the all of the fumes can still affect us. So no one is quote unquote immune to the fall. Nobody's going to be like, well, just because I live in this neighborhood, or this is my job, or this is my, this is how much money I make. We are all going to be affected by the fall of this country. Your point.
I'll give everybody an even more digestible or more realistic situation. Everyone knows Kyrie Irving is trending right now when it comes to him sharing a piece of knowledge that was on Amazon's platform. Let's think and look at how he is being treated by Nike. He has now been dropped. What the Nets are requiring him to do in order to be able to come back to the team. Let's look at that aspect, right? Let's think about the hundreds of Black NBA players that are in the league, right? Active players. Yesterday, every NBA team played last night, right? If every Black player didn't show up last night, just one night, not show up, you know how much of an impact that could have made for Kyrie Irving, or at least having respect for how you handle us when we don't agree with you or you don't agree with us. Kyrie didn't lie. Kyrie didn't say, hey, you Jewish people, y'all this, y'all that. He shared a piece of knowledge that was Amazon. So let's look at ourselves as the other NBA players, the other people that are watching I won't say demise, because Kyrie, this is not his demise, but we're seeing Kyrie figuratively being hung while we just go on and continue to act like, oh, everything's all good. No. We have to be those who make a difference and stand behind Kyrie, aka we can say America, and say, hey, we got to fix this.
Yeah.
We can't wait and look and watch and see what happens, because guess what? When the situation comes up again, it's going to be the same results. If we don't take action now, it's going to be a million more Kyries as centuries go on if we aren't the ones to stand up. I'm not saying physically in the NBA. I mean us as America.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think that for that point, the reason that we're not seeing that level of mass resistance is just because some of those players, either one, they don't agree with them.
Farajii. No. Hold on. I'm not saying literally in reference to the NBA players. I mean, in reference to us as Americans.
Yeah, okay.
We have to be those NBA players to help support Kyrie, aka the change of America. We have to be those. We can't be the players who just sit and act like nothing's happening.
Got you. Yeah.
Yeah. We can't sit there and watch, because it's going to keep happening.
Hey, look, I mean, that's what this election is about, right? to some degree, a very small element of this election is about saying that you want to make a change, right? Like this is right now, look, I mean, I want to get past the bullshit. Voting that's the form of participation from the citizens on a when it comes to determining the leadership, voting, right? That's a small form. That's the small exercise of participation. So to your point, yes, absolutely. But then you got to take it to a step further and say, okay, you voted, glad, but you can't just sit on your vote. You can't just sit on your hands. You got to do something more if you're really serious. Now, I'm not saying that you can't expect, let me just say it this way, and then we go with some of the comments. If we look at where we are in this country, we all voted with the expectation that we were going to get a better country. But something happened. And now we are all trying to hold on to this expectation, trying to hold on to that hope that this thing is going to turn itself around without us getting too involved. But we're seeing it each and every day that we don't have the liberty to sit on the sidelines, like you mentioned. We're seeing this every day.
Exactly.
You need to have an informed and educated citizenry in order for democracy to work. You can't be stupid. You can't be clueless. You can't be completely disengaged and then be like, well, why isn't this thing not working for me?
Ignorance is bliss, but bliss is running out, y'all. Bliss is running out.
No. And you're right. You are absolutely right. Iman. Hey, look, and trust and believe. Here's the thing. I know people like ignorance is bliss, but guess what? There is a consequence to not knowing when in a time when you're supposed to know. I'm going to say that one more time for the chat. There is a consequence of not knowing during a time when you're supposed to know. So if you play ignorant, if you play boo-boo the fool, if you act like something ain't happening when it's really happening, then you are literally killing your own desire. And more importantly, you are telling yourself a lie, right? This ain't happening. So you constantly just drill it in your head. Oh, this ain't happening. This ain't real. This ain't real. And guess what? You're psyching your own self out. So now anything that you see, your brain is going to start to be like, well, this ain't real. And then you start to living in a fantasy and not in reality. And then everything that you say, everything that you do, every way that you think is going to come out of a space of a fantasy, not rooted in reality. Because you told yourself, I'm not going to follow that. This ain't real. This ain't happening. See what I'm saying? And I think for us and as a collective people, it's taken us a long time for us to wake up because we've been telling ourselves this ain't happening.
We've been feeding ourselves bullshit. We've been sitting in our comfort. But for so long, telling ourselves that we're not comfortable, we're not right. Okay, but we're not as bad as we was. To hell with that. To hell with we not as bad as we was. We want to improve. Imagine America reissuing the same type of vehicle every year. You got the same features from 1995 Honda and the 2002 Hondas. It's the same thing. No navigation, the headlights ain't different. Nothing has changed. You'll get tired of it, right? You get tired of keep seeing and dealing with the same thing, right? Yeah. It's the same exact circumstance, just on a wider scale. It's the same thing. And if we continue to keep these rose-colored glasses on and entertain these smoke and mirrors, it's going to be the same result generation after generation after generation.
Right.
You have to make absolutely right. You're not dealing with this bullshit no more.
Hey, look, man, I'm not trying to keep dealing with it. Like, I'm at this point, Iman, where we just got to deal with it. Because by us by us constantly putting it to the sides or by us being in a state of denial, it's like it makes the situation even worse, right? The consequences get even more graver and graver each time. So I'm just ready to all right, let's just deal with this. Let's deal with the race problem. Let's deal with the justice issue. Let's deal with the economic disparities. And let's get this shit out of here. Like this thing, you're not going to get better if you keep holding filth and madness inside. I mean, everybody knows that when your body is sick, you got to let go all of the garbage. It's gotta be released. It's got to be taken out of you. Mm-hmm. And you just, that's the point. We're sick. This country is sick right now. And it's like, we want to hold on to ideas, values, beliefs, systems, things that are just destroying us from the inside.
And
even though there is medicine, there's medicine in people's ideas. There's medicine in programming. There's medicine in a lot of different things all throughout this country. And I'm not just talking about from Black people. I'm talking about from white people. I'm talking about there's medicine in this country, but this country looks at medicine like children do. We don't want to no, I don't want that. It doesn't taste as sweet. It's not a different color. It's not my favorite color and all of this stuff. We get so caught up on that rather than just taking a medicine to get well. And that's the place that we're in.
I agree 100%. And I just had a light bulb moment. We talk about how we don't want to be uncomfortable. Those who are above or run the country and higher than us, the government, now gotta look at it from the flip side. I think they're scared of being uncomfortable as well. To make this drastic change, there would be loss to, I guess, people's idea what America is or should have been or what America was based upon. I think that America will be, a lot of Americans will be, not Americans, but how America was run will be devastated. Like, I think they are afraid of a loss, whether it's monetary or whether it's the feel of being patriotic. It's some type of loss that they're trying to avoid. Now that we speak more, I think that's the problem as far as when America's in. Not us, not the civilians, but as far as the government, there's some type of loss they don't want to take. I don't know if it's humiliation or embarrassment among other countries, but it's some type of fear or being uncomfortable that America just doesn't want to deal with.
Oh, no doubt. No doubt. Look, we got to take a quick pause. When we come back, I'm going to get some comments from our online culture crew. Let's continue the conversation. Plus, in the next segment, folks, let me know and let me and Iman know what's happening right now on the ground. If you give us some updates about the voting situation. So I'm asking you from all across the country, y'all just put your reports in the chat. Let us know what's happening right now. People, if you in Georgia, are people excited? If you're down in Texas, are people coming out? Give us a snapshot of what's happening, because I'm just wondering. We don't have folks on yet from the online culture crew. We're gonna start that this week, but I want to get a better sense of where we are right now. Where's the Black voter all across the country? So we'll have that update and so much more. So stay with us. A lot to get to in the final few minutes of today's show here on the Culture on the Black Star Network. We'll be right back.
Pull up a chair, take your seat. The Black Tape with me, Dr. Greg Carr, here on the Black Star Network. Every week, we'll take a deeper dive into the world we're living in. Join the conversation only on the Black Star Network.
Hatred on the streets, a horrific scene, a white nationalist rally that descended into deadly violence.
White people are losing their damn minds.
An angry pro-Trump mob storms the U.S. Capitol. We've seen shootings.
We're about to see the rise of what I call white minority resistance. We have seen white folks in this country who simply cannot tolerate Black folks voting.
I think what we're seeing is the inevitable result of violent denial.
This is part of American history. Every time that people of color have made progress, whether real or symbolic, there has been what Carol Anderson at Emory University calls white rage as a backlash.
This is the rise of the Proud Boys and the Boogaloo Boys. America, there's going to be more of this.
Here's all the Proud Boys, guys.
This country is getting increasingly racist in its behaviors and its attitudes because of the fear of white people.
The fear that they're taking our jobs, they're taking our resources, they're taking our women. This is white fear.
When we invest in ourselves, our glow, our vision, our vibe, we all shine. Together, we are black beyond measure.
When you talk about blackness and what happens in black culture, we're about covering these things that matter to us, speaking to our issues and concerns.
This is a genuine people-powered movement.
There's a lot of stuff that we're not getting. You get it, and you spread the word.
We wish to plead our own cause. Too long have others spoken for us. We cannot tell our own story if we can't pay for it. This is about covering us. Invest in black-owned media. Your dollars matter. We don't have to keep asking them to cover our stuff. So please support us in what we do, folks. We want to hit 2,000 people, $50 this month, raise $100,000. We're behind 100,000, so we want to hit that. Y'all money makes this possible. Check some money orders. Go to P.O. Box 57196, Washington, D.C. 20037-019.
Know your rights before you vote. If you have any questions or a problem voting, call or text 1-866-OUR-VOTE. For more information, call or text 1-866-OUR-VOTE. It's time to know your rights. If someone is questioning your right to vote, call or text 1-866-OUR-VOTE. For more information, call or text 1-866-OUR-VOTE.
All right, folks, welcome back to the show. Me and Amon is just chopping it up, man. Let's bring Amon back into the show. Man, we chopping it up, man. She on fire today, man. Her analysis is just on. She's just on fire, man. Great election day coverage and conversation as we have this discussion about America being fixed. Let me go to our online culture crew because they ramped up right now. Everybody's pumped right now.
What they saying? What they saying?
Let's go back to the crew. Man, oh man. Check this out. All right, let's kick it off with let me go. I'm gonna have to go back because so many people have checked in. All right, Nisa, 1971. You said, as Dr. King said, we integrated ourselves into a burning house. Black folk keep putting out fires, but at some point the structure will be lost. Yeah, come on. We keep putting out these fires, the structure is going to get lost. We keep putting out these fires, and the structure is going to be harder and harder to save.
We got to start being proactive, preventing these fires. That's what we need to be at.
Here's my only pushback on that, because I agree with you. I agree with you, right? My only pushback on that, Iman, is that America got to listen to black folks.
And then here's my pushback on that.
I'm saying this with the greatest humility. And I'm not, again, this is not coming out of racism or sexism or anti-Semitism or anything like that. None of it. We are the ones. We are the ones that has undergone the greatest affliction, right? We have been able to endure the greatest afflictions that's done to any people on American soil, right? And I'm talking about in American soil, right? We are the ones that's done it, that's been able to get through. We are the ones that need to be listened to. We are that group of people. You can't move America forward and hold black people back. If America wants to move forward, she got to treat her former slaves as human beings. That's what it comes down to. You can't. If
we
you keep playing with us, then your fate is written in the stars and on the walls, baby.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Look, let me tell you, like a lot of what we're undergoing is because of the unresolved issues and the unresolved relationship that America has had with Black people around the issues of race and justice. Come on, man. That's why you got Trumplicans, because they wilding out, because they see. I mean, we got little gains and they getting crazy. Oh my God.
Something is being taken. What is being taken? Hell if I know, but something is being taken according to them. And America has the issue with acting like nothing happened as far as when it comes to slavery and racism. Oh, it happened forever ago. Let it go. Oh, it was a long time ago. Let it go. Y'all have the same rights now. Hell no. We still set back. I'm gonna say it's just wealth. The wealth is tremendous. There's a hell of a wealth gap, and you still telling me, oh no, it's okay, it's all right. Y'all not being hugged no more. The hole, y'all not being sprayed with water hoses anymore. So it's better than what it was. To hell with that. It's still bullshit. It may not be as much on the plate, but it's still bullshit that you're trying to serve me that we just need to not tolerate anymore.
See, that's like small stuff, right? I mean, so you think that's progress because human beings aren't being sprayed down anymore? That's a progress? Like, damn, that's so low on the totem pole of progress. Like, at least we ain't spraying you down.
Mm-hmm. You can eat.
You know what I'm saying? Like, you could be in a worse position. Like, that's nothing.
Mm-hmm.
Because the trauma has already been inflicted on us, right? We got to recover from these generational curses from just trying to get civil rights in this country.
Even psychologically, it's hard to come back from psychological trauma.
Facts.
Generational trauma is hard to recover from.
Very hard.
We got a lot of digging to do, and some of us don't even want to acknowledge it.
Oh my gosh, yes. Malcolm, you checked in and said this is our time to organize and vote. Can't disagree with you there, Malcolm. Absolutely. We got to organize. We got to vote. Absolutely. Thank you so much. Sean Ryan, you said because America has a constitution that puts the people and government in check. Here's the problem with this, Sean. What if you don't agree with the Constitution? What if you don't think that document is a sacred document, is a founding, you don't respect it? Then what? See what I'm saying? This is why they say that democracy is fragile, because it's still built on our view of what has already happened. So suppose you don't think the Constitution is the major document and you don't respect the document. Now that opens the door for all types of madness to occur. But it first starts with us respecting and trusting and hoping that America will keep its promise. Life, liberty, the pursuit of happiness. America will keep its promise of the rights to speech, the free speech, and every right.
And we can see free speech ain't free speech where? As long as you don't say it's free.
Yeah.
Don't say that though.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
And January 6th is a great example of how the Constitution, some people don't respect it. January 6th is a great example of how some of us just we have no regard for that.
No regard. No regard. Here's real quick, the January 6th thing, I know that it was no regard because when you can literally use the bathroom in the Capitol, see what I'm saying? So you really, here's the reality. You really don't want no order. You see what I'm saying? Like, and this is for Trumplicans, but even for Black folks. Like some of us are even gotten to the point where we're like, I don't need no leadership. I don't need no structure. You don't want no order. And because you believe that people are human beings, that in the sense that they care, they think about other people. No, the order is there because boundaries are set because the human being, and I'm going to get metaphysical real quick, but boundaries are set because the human being has to have order. There has to be structure. There has to be boundaries because why? Sometimes our nature will cause us to do things outside of character. You feel what I'm saying? So you gotta keep those impulses in check. You got to keep those impulses in check. Otherwise, what you're going to see is what we saw on January 6th. I don't like somebody, I'm going to run up in their joint and I'm going to bust them in the mouth. But now that you got laws, you can't do that. Some white people have said that. Like, man, if I didn't have to, wouldn't have the consequence of going to jail. That's why I remember when Ahmaud Arbery was killed by them 3 racists, you could clearly see they didn't think they did anything wrong. They were in the courtroom looking like confused, like, why are we here? Because you don't even think that you did anything wrong. That's the impulse, right? So you got to keep certain things in check. That's what the boundaries are for. Because the laws, right? Police enforce the laws. The laws say you can't do A, you can't do B. But human nature, human behavior, our conditioning, we want to do something otherwise, but we got to keep that in check. And that's why people like Trump, because he appeals to the unchecked human being.
Very true. Very true.
He appeals to that. So he can say whatever he want. He can do whatever he want. He don't get no consequences. And you got some of these white people, and I'm saying white men in particular, who are just like, oh yeah, I want to be able to move like that. That's privilege.
That's privilege. I agree.
But you didn't see his ass running up on the Capitol.
I agree.
He seen your dumb ass though.
Do his dirty work. I
do
agree.
His work.
I agree.
Tim Jones. Tim said, dragging Kyrie, but yet Brett Favre stole millions. Make it make sense. Hey, Tim, let me just share that with you very quickly. There's some double standard, bro. There's a double standard. Just accept it, Tim. We got to accept that, man. Cheryl Penny, you said
that's the double standard though, Farajii. Us as a whole, as black folk, we have to keep pressing the double standard.
We got to keep pressing. I agree with you. But again, this is the reality and a fantasy part of the conversation. Get out of the fantasy of thinking that you can do something just because somebody else can do it. That's a fantasy. The reality is you can't. If a black man does one thing and a white man does the same thing, they both warrant consequences. But guess what? The black man is going to get a stiffer penalty.
Always.
Why is that so hard to accept? People like, man, that's not fair. No, it's not fair, but that's racism. Racism ain't supposed to be fair.
Racism doesn't exist, Farajii. It's 2022.
Oh, whatever. You funny. Cheryl. You said the only action we need to take is create our own businesses. I appreciate the taking a stance, but invest in the black community. We need to stop being so distracted. I agree. I think that there's some economic empowerment in that, but at the end of the day, I think that the issues facing black folks in this country are deeper than business. What's your take on that, Iman? You are an entrepreneur.
I agree, but with that part is a bigger part to it behind it. As far as business, we gotta have equal opportunity to be able to get certain business loans and things like that. Because I wasn't born with a 780 credit score by my parents. I'm at a disadvantage when it comes to creating business. So I feel it 100%.
Yeah. But I think that even with the business thing, because I hear a lot of black folks say, economic mobility and all of those things, right? And it's like, I think we even passed that point. Like the stuff that we're facing right now is like fundamental root level human being, governmental stuff. It's like very root level. This is about like the essential dynamic of right and wrong, truth and lies. You know what I mean? That's stuff that transcends like business or even politics. It's getting down to like universal principles that are being either followed or just being disregarded. And so I think that's why we're in this space, because we're just at the root of all of this stuff, universal principles are not being followed. Universal principles aren't being adhered to. So that's what I think. Sophia, you said my issue is there's no black entity that represents black culture like the Jewish community. If the Jewish community has this power, where's ours?
We don't have any money. We don't have any money. So they think
I'm not sure, Sophia. Sophia, I would like to know why you say there isn't any black entity that represents black culture, because I'm thinking of a number of them. The church, the nation, when you say there isn't a black entity that represents black culture like the Jewish community, we got. I feel like I think there are. The difference is our place in society is different from Jewish people. Even though Jewish people only make up a little bit over 2% of those in America, they wield the most power. They are the most influential. Doctors, lawyers, and they're working in the entertainment and industry and all of that stuff. When you look at the history of Jewish people, you start to see how they were able to rise above in their power. So I think there are a number of institutions that actually speak up for black culture. But our speaking up for black culture is from the bottom, whereas theirs is from the top. I mean, what you think? You think I'm wrong on that, Iman?
I agree with you.
I know, because I know that the talk around Jewish people nowadays can be very heated and can be distorted, right? Like at the end of the day, people tend to believe, and even in me, as I'm seeing what happened with Kyrie and I'm seeing with Kanye and all of that stuff, like let's get past the emotional part and let's look at truth. Let's look at facts, and when you look at like scholarly works like The Secret Relationship Between Blacks and Jews, this is a book of Jewish scholars who have said A, B, and C about Jewish people. This is not the Nation of Islam's book. This is a book of historical references. And so when we look at these things, let's have a truthful conversation. You know what I mean? This ain't about Jewish hate. This ain't about hating Jews. No. This is about being, and I think that's the problem. Like, we're not having these very, very sensitive conversations in the right frame. We're not just spouting off a bunch of anti-Semitic rhetoric. No, we're talking about look at the history. Look at where we are with this thing. Look at the relationship that black people have with Jewish people in this country. Why can't we just look at that and use that as the reference point for having clear, intelligent discussion?
I'm definitely on maybe not the complete opposite end, but I'm definitely somewhere else as far as the perspective, because I completely understand what she's saying and where she comes from. The reason why we don't have that black representation like the Jewish people do, because again, we don't have any power. Like Farajii said, we speak from the bottom and not the top. The Jewish community, the way they stick together, it's phenomenal. I wish that we could adopt that same thing, but we have to have some type of monetary value to be able to control some things, have a seat at the table. Jewish people control a lot of things. For them to only be 2%, you said of America.
Yeah, I mean that's from their writings. This is not from Farajii Muhammad making this up. Like, and I could be wrong, but I know I'm not wrong because I read what I read.
You have what you read. You saw what you read.
I read what I read from a Jewish scholar. And when you look at it, I'm taking the steam out. Be real. Let's look at the truth of the situation, right? Like, that's the Jewish people wield power.
Because they wield what, Farajii? The wealth and the money. If we have some money as blacks to bring to the table, it's certain things you can't say about black people.
Yeah.
Certain ways we can't be treated by police officers if we had the monetary value to make a change.
You're right. You're right. And that's probably why we need to have a different conversation, because it's like, okay, black folks do have certain institutions. Like we got Black Star Network to have these conversations to help debunk some of the myths, like your Dr. Carr's show. You can come check us out here on The Culture or Roland's show, or, you know, like you gotta debunk this stuff. You gotta debunk the myths and the misperceptions and the lies that people have about all these folks. And so, yeah, you're absolutely right. You're absolutely right. And I think that, you know, in a moment like this, there should be some open dialogue. It shouldn't be somebody say something about Jewish people, and then all of a sudden you see the backlash. Money's not, you know, companies walking away and all of this stuff. It's like, this is a perfect opportunity to look at the relationship, to look at the powers that be. This is a perfect opportunity for that.
Truth, trust, and transparency from the powers that be, Farajii. That's what we need. That's exactly what we need.
Right. Absolutely. I could have said it better myself. You already answered the question. You don't like my music. You say we need to raise our expectations. Black Americans have been expecting the worst since the beginning. Yeah. Yeah, we do need to raise our expectations and ourselves first.
Agreed.
And ourselves first. Cheryl, you said also the money we spend just Black Americans alone is in the trillions of dollars, and we own nothing. Something is wrong. We sure can use an anti-crime bill right yesterday. Yeah, like yesterday. Yeah, we can. Yeah. You bring up 2 points. You talk about crime, and you're talking about what they call the black buying power, right? So 2 things. But it's all rooted in some level of hope and expectation. Corinna, my sister, you say when we consistently vote in record turnout as Black folks, the message will be clear as we have to build the infrastructure within the legislative branch. It's not impossible, but we have to want it. Political will is what you're speaking of, Corinna. And I agree. But now we're at this point. Say it again, Iman.
I'm glad she emphasized the we and the want.
Oh, yeah.
That's the key part.
Absolutely. And here's the other part. There are groups, and I shared this with y'all yesterday. I'm seeing groups, and I'm reading about them. They're not mainstream, but they are present. And there are groups in this country right now, and I'm not just talking about Black folk, I'm talking about white people, I'm talking about rich and poor people coming together, who are saying something needs to be done, something different, something new. There needs to be something done, right? And so if these other groups like the New Pluralists and other groups that are looking to try to redefine how government can be done in America, why aren't we having those same type of conversation? Why is it, and I'm not saying it like we never having it, but I'm saying people are putting money behind this stuff. And you can't say that we don't have money. We just need a plan, a solid plan, right? That Black folks feel like, you know what, I can embrace, I can attach myself to this idea, and then we move forward. It doesn't have to be mainstream, because when I read about some of these other organizations and groups, Iman, they're putting millions of dollars behind these. And these are white donors. These are power brokers in this country who are seeing how this country is moving in a direction that they don't agree with. And they're starting to put money where their mouth is. They're like, look, we're not just going to talk about it. We're going to invest in it. Same thing that Black folks we can do. We can do the same thing. But we just, as Corinna said, you gotta want this stuff. You can't just be like, no, we're going to keep on. No, okay, now we got the midterms done. We'll see what the next 2 years, but by 2024, we should not be having the same conversation about who is going to, what about the black interest, black agenda? We should not be having the same conversation. At this point, we need to figure out who are the black candidates, who are the political leaders that we want to see as candidates. And they may not always be black. They could be Latino. They could be white for all I care. I don't care. But who are the candidates that are going to speak to our interests come 2024? That's where our eyes should be on. Because the midterm is happening today. Tomorrow, we should be figuring out, well, okay, what's the next step for having a candidate or a number of candidates that we can put forth to the American people that speaks to our interests in such a way that, yes, the core of their programming platform is our interest, but they're broad enough in their mind, heart, and spirit to think about the all. Somebody got it. I mean, we got to figure that out, man.
We'll have to join forces with other minority groups. And
I
mean, LGBTQ and the whole alphabet that they have, they will have to come aboard as a minority.
Again, politics is war. Politics is war.
Round up the troops.
Back to what one of our culture crew members said, where are the supplies and equipment? Well, who are the coalition? What's the coalition? Because the struggle that every group has had in this country, black folks can relate to that struggle. Black folks have been there, quote unquote, right? LGBTQ, Latin Americans, regardless of who you are, you can always reference some point in black people's history in this country to serve as a lesson or a guide on how to handle that struggle.
Or how to not handle it.
Or how to not handle that struggle. You feel what I'm saying? But we could be there. But we got to think about that's what I'm thinking about. I'm thinking about 2024 at this moment. Like, yo, who are the candidates? Because if we come back in 2 years, Iman, and we like, yo, we got to get out to vote for so-and-so. And it's like somebody that's not going to knock your socks off. You know what I mean? Because guess what? Literally, the Democrats don't even have anybody.
No. And just because you're so familiar with the Democratic Party, and just because your grandmother and voting for years, don't mean they are for us.
Absolutely.
Doesn't mean that at all. Don't mean they speak for the people at all.
Absolutely.
Don't get caught up in political party routines. Let's look elsewhere because Democrats ain't been doing shit for us either. So let's look somewhere else.
Hey, look, we can go blue this time, but we might go clear next time. That means we ain't filling in no bubbles.
Yeah, nobody.
We ain't filling in no bubbles coming to president. I'm being dead ass serious, y'all. We need to figure out, like, yo, we'll go blue, but come through this president, if they put Trump up, whoever up, if we look. No,
Farajii, if they put Trump up, Farajii,
we ain't got enough time. Iman, we ain't got enough time on the show today to talk about that matter.
You're right. It's past time.
We ain't got enough time. But if we need to really figure this out, like you can't figure it out during election season. Well, where are the black candidates? Where are the candidates that's going to speak for you? We 2 years out. You mean to tell me we can't identify 3, 4, 5 different candidates over the next 2 years that we can groom, cultivate, that speaks to our interests, individuals? I'm talking about literally for the president. Even some of the mayor's races are going to be happening in 24, right? Who are the black mayors right now? Who are the black senators that we can look to? Who has the voice? I don't care. Like, this is part of the politics is warfare strategy. You plan ahead of time.
We gotta put money behind these people, right? In order for them to be able to sit at the table, right? Okay, cool, we got that. Just how y'all give y'all 10% of tithes and offering at church every Sunday.
Yeah, we gotta do that.
Same thing bi-weekly to one of our political candidates.
Right.
It can be done.
Absolutely. Absolutely. All right, look, I got a couple of moments left. I wanted to check in with our online culture crew really quickly to see what the voting situation is like. First, Iman, tell us, did you vote today or did you vote during early voting? How did you vote?
As soon as we get off of air, I will be heading to the school.
Oh, you're going to hit the polls. All right.
Go vote. Now, I have been outside in Baltimore City to encourage people to get out and vote. You still have your last minute voter registration that you can do at the voting sites. Promoting, of course, Westmore. That's my guy. But I will say I have seen more young people out there voting than I did for the preliminary election.
Hey, look, so your hashtag gonna be Weed and West?
Wait a minute. Oh God. Not Weed and West Farajii, but just be sure
Weed and West,
that you vote for Westmore.
Weed and West.
Weed and West.
Hey, look. Hey.
I'm just trying to get my people to the polls, Farajii. Hey, I'm trying to get my people to where they need to be at. If it's got to be Weed and West, then hell, Weed and West, y'all. Weed and West.
Yo, if I ever ran for office, I'm gonna have me one of them outrageous outrageous mottos. They be like, Farajii? Be like Farms and Farajii. You be like, what? And I'm talking about land and me. That's what y'all get, land and me.
Look, put me on the campaign trail. I promise
I'm telling you. I'm just gonna go all in. They be like, well, you can't say that. Hell yeah, I can.
Yeah,
hey, look, man, look.
Trump can say grab them by the vagina. Farajii, you can say what the hell you want.
Right.
Say what you want.
Hey, look, remember that speech that Joker said? That Joker said, well, why? What you got to lose? Everything?
I mean, there should be a consequence.
What do you got to lose? Your schools are depressed. The crime rate in your neighborhood is terrible. I mean, why the hell not would you vote for me? What you got to lose?
Now, look, I ain't got nothing else. And that's the thing.
Hey, look, it worked for some people.
Man.
It worked, man. Hey, look, Weed and West. That's what y'all doing. That's what's happening in back home. Weed and West, y'all. That's what's up. Well, all right. Well, you know what? I'm going to keep my eyes out. Big. Of course, we've been talking about this for weeks now. We're looking at Georgia. We're looking at Florida. We're looking at Trump said he actually voted for Ron DeSantis in Florida. So he said he cast his ballot, and that might, they're saying that DeSantis, or some of our culture crew call him DeSatan, is going to be he may win his election today, but we will see. Texas is moving. Arizona's a big state that we're looking at as well. California here. Karen Bass, who is the congresswoman out of LA, running for the mayor's race. Tight race between her and Rick Caruso. So we will certainly see how that situation pans out. But I'm telling you, I see Caruso and Bass signs all over the city, and it's going to be an interesting race there. Let's talk about. I mean, there are a number. Of course, the historic moment of Westmore, if he's able to get the vote, be the first Black man to be the governor of the state of Maryland.
Yes, sir.
We've had two lieutenant governors, Michael Steele and our other lieutenant governor. Man, the name escapes me just that quick. But Westmore may be the first Black man. And I think his running mate would be the first woman. Am I not mistaken?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And
she would be the first
as well.
Right. So big win for the state of Maryland. But Maryland is progressive, so I'm not necessarily too surprised by that. And of course, we talked about it yesterday. All of the House seats are up for grabs. The president said, I read this report today, the president said he's more concerned about the Senate. He feels a little bit better that Democrats are going to take the Senate space. And he feels confident about that. But he said the House thing is really worrying. It could be troublesome for the House in terms of the Democrats. But look, y'all know what I said yesterday. If you didn't tune in, if you didn't have a chance to tune in, don't let people's prophecy stop you from casting your ballot.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody said, the Republicans are going to win. No, if you don't like that narrative, then go out and vote. If you don't want the Republicans to win, then vote. If you don't want the Democrats to win, vote. But guess what? Get out there and vote. All right. There it is right there. Iman, we're going to check back in with you, sis, but I appreciate you. Thank you. And you know what? You just when you talk to Brother Westmore, just tell him to amp his campaign speech up just a little bit. Just include a little cannabis.
I'll make sure to mention it to them. Don't forget to mention what they really want.
Mr. Weed and West. There it is right there. Iman Heath, always good for the culture. Thank you for being on the show with us today, sis. Truly appreciate you.
Thank you. I'll see y'all next week. And vote.
Absolutely.
Go vote.
Go vote. There it is, folks. All right. We're going to take a break. I appreciate all of you for being a part of the show. Hopefully you enjoyed the conversation as we talked about a host of things. Look, folks, it doesn't stop here. Here on the Black Star Network, we are going to continue our election night coverage. Make sure y'all tune in just a few moments. Of course, Roland Martin Unfiltered, 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We'll be kicking off. But at 7, make sure y'all stay tuned for Black Votes Matter election night coverage that we're going to be kicking off at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, all the way up until about 1 a.m. It may be longer depending on whether we get some results from some of these contests from around the country. But we are going to dedicate a good amount of time talking about the candidates, the issues, and talking about the role that Black voter plays in this form of democracy. So you don't want to miss out. Yours truly, I'm going to be on there for a little bit, but host a number of your favorite thought leaders, number of your favorite commentators are going to be joining us. So it's going to be an all-star panel. And of course, it's going to be moderated and hosted by the man himself, Brother Roland Martin. So don't want to miss this opportunity to hear what folks are saying, more importantly, to give us some understanding of what we may be up against even after Election Day. So it's a lot to talk about. It's going to be a lot to talk about this evening. But folks, I want you to do your due diligence. Make sure that you continue to support Black Star Network. It is during moments like this that we need to have a Black-owned, Black institution, Black media institution. That's why we are putting it out there. Your support makes all the difference in the world. So check out blackstarnetwork.com. Support us financially. Continue to share the content and let your family and friends know that they can download the app for free on all of their devices. And most importantly, they can continue to show their support for the work that we're doing as we continue to grow and expand and take our mission to the next level. So go to blackstarnetwork.com to get all of the details on how you can support. Also, while you're on there, make sure you like us on social media. Make sure you friend us on IG, Black Star Network, as well as on Twitter. And while you're there, make sure you check me out. You can friend me on Twitter at Farajii, on IG at the Real Farajii. And let's have a conversation as we continue to build community. Now, again, I mentioned yesterday, but I'm going to throw it out there again. This week, we've already started the process of booking some of you to be a part of our online culture crew as we bring you on air, on camera. Can't wait for that to happen. So those who have already submitted their ideas, we truly, truly appreciate it. And we want to keep them coming. So if you have an idea for our segment, tell us what we're missing. We're talking about an issue that you might be near and dear to your heart, but we just haven't had a chance to really talk about. Make sure you email me at Farajii at blackstarnetwork.com. Again, that's Farajii, Farajii at blackstarnetwork.com. And we're going to start to book all of our online culture crew members to be a part of the conversations on air, something that has never been done. We're taking it to the next level here at the culture. So we want you to grow and be a part of this great, great movement. I thank y'all for tuning in today, spending a little extra time with us this afternoon. And God willing, we'll see each other in a little bit at the 7 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. But as always, never be afraid to challenge what's wrong. Stand for what's right while being yourself in the process. Look forward to chatting with you at 7 p.m. tonight for our Black Votes Matter election coverage here on the Black Star Network. Until then, have a great afternoon. Talk to you soon. Peace.